When people hear the phrase Pope Francis's residence, they often imagine grand halls, gold-covered ceilings, and endless luxury. In the minds of many, the home of the most powerful religious leader in the world must surely be a symbol of wealth and authority. However, the reality is completely different. Unlike his predecessors who lived in the lavish rooms of the Apostolic Palace, Pope Francis made a decision that stunned the world. He rejected that life of luxury. Instead of stepping into a royal existence at the heart of the Vatican, Pope Francis chose to live at Casa Santa Marta, a simple, modest guest house tucked behind the fortified walls of the Holy City. This unexpected decision sparked countless questions. Was it merely an act of humility? Or was it a powerful statement about redefining power, faith, and how a true leader should walk alongside the world? If you feel curious and surprised by Pope Francis's departure, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Don't forget to like, share the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more exciting stories. Now, let's dive into the story together. Pope Francis is known for saying, "I will love a poor church and for the poor." His choice of residence became a symbol of that belief. No luxury apartment, no royal treatment, just a simple room like any other guest. But this is where the story takes a strange turn. After his death, Vatican officials quickly sealed his residence. A place that was once open and humble is now locked tight, with no explanation, no visitors, even senior clergy being denied entry. Why does what's inside these walls need such protection? Is it just a routine, or are they hiding something that could shake the foundations of the church? The issue is not just where Pope Francis slept, but what he left behind. As rumors began to spread, people started asking whether his simple lifestyle was a facade for something much greater. Let's delve deeper into this mystery because Pope Francis's simple life may not be as simple as it seems. From the moment he stepped onto the world stage, he made it clear that he was different from past popes. No lavish ceremonies, no throne, just a man of faith walking among the people. But behind this humble image, there may be something more. His simple lifestyle was also a silent strategy for many years. His humble choice of living was seen as a reflection of his mission to reform the church, to bring it closer to the poor and marginalized. His residence at Casa Santa Marta was not just a place to sleep, but a statement. But now, with his passing and the sudden sealing of his residence, many are starting to ask what is truly going on behind those closed doors. Some within the Vatican believe Pope Francis used his quiet, humble environment as a safe haven, a place where plans were made, letters written, and secrets kept hidden from the prying eyes of those opposed to his reforms. A source hinted that while he lived simply, his thoughts were anything but small. Could the walls of Casa Santa Marta contain more than just the possessions of a pope? Perhaps they hold the blueprint for a church that transformed the world. When Vatican officials sealed the residence of Pope Francis, they were not just protecting memories, but something far more powerful. Was this merely tradition, or was the Vatican scrambling to protect secrets that could change everything? Let's explore what really happens when a pope's residence is sealed, and why this time it feels different, a Vatican ritual or something more. When a pope dies, certain rituals must be followed. One of them is the sealing of his residence, a tradition to protect personal items, letters, and official documents until they are reviewed. But this time, something feels off. Usually, this process happens fairly routinely, almost as a matter of course. But when the Vatican guards sealed Pope Francis's residence, rumors began to spread throughout Rome. People started asking, why the rush? Why are reports of secrets starting to emerge? Complaints about confidential documents, personal writings, and even lists of names hidden inside. Some people say that these are not just any documents, but radical reform plans that Pope Francis never had the chance to publicly reveal. A Vatican official is reportedly quoted as saying, "What's in there is not just history, but the future of the Church." Then the rumors truly began to capture attention. The documents point to a succession plan, ideas to reshape the Church, and bold steps that some in the Vatican might not want to make public. This is why even senior cardinals were denied access to these highly sensitive materials, prompting the Vatican to act more quickly than usual. The room where Pope Francis resided was not just a formality, but more like a race against time to control information that could spark global debates or even cause divisions within the Church. But amid all these whispers, one name keeps emerging: Luis Antonio Tagle. So what exactly did Pope Francis leave behind? And why does Tagle's name appear at the center of all this? Let's dive into the heart of the mystery, because behind those walls might be a blueprint that could change the Church forever. A blueprint for the future. When Vatican officials sealed Pope Francis's modest residence, few could have predicted what would happen next. The rumors about hidden documents started to spread, but these were not ordinary papers or personal notes. According to insiders, what they found was nothing less than a blueprint, a plan that could forever reshape the Catholic Church. Leaked whispers spoke of personal letters carefully written by Pope Francis, outlining ideas far more progressive than anything he had made public. The reform strategies, a detailed vision of a more inclusive church, and perhaps most shockingly, a list of successors he believed could continue his mission. Popes are not allowed to designate their successors, as it goes against tradition. However, Pope Francis was never one to be bound by convention. He understood the resistance he would face and knew that change would not happen unless there was someone bold enough to carry it forward. As a quiet source within the Vatican commented, Francis didn't just hope for change, he planned for it. And in these plans, one name appeared repeatedly: Luis Antonio Tagle. It is said that these documents didn't just mention Tagle casually, but positioned him at the center of a future church, one built on compassion, equality, and modern relevance. If these reports are true, then Pope Francis did not leave his legacy to chance. He had already guided it from beyond the grave. But this discovery raises even more questions. Why were these documents hidden? Were they meant to be revealed over time, or kept secret to avoid an immediate backlash from the conservative factions within the Vatican? And is Tagle truly part of this secret vision? One thing is clear. This is not just a stack of papers, but a silent revolution waiting for the right moment to explode. But who exactly is behind this hidden plan? And why did Pope Francis place so much trust in him? Let's turn our attention to the quiet figure standing in the shadows, Luis Antonio Tagle, who has been protected in the shadows for years. Luis Antonio Tagle walked the halls of the Vatican without attracting much attention, humble, gentle, and deeply connected to the people. He was never one to seek attention, but someone did take notice of him. A very important person. Pope Francis's journey from the bustling streets of Manila to becoming one of the most trusted figures in the Vatican was no accident. It was the result of shared values, quiet conversations, and a bond built on a common vision for a church that serves, not one bound by rules. Many people call him the Asian Francis, a nickname that says a lot, like how Pope Francis believes in humility over hierarchy, compassion over control. And behind closed doors, the two are said to have held countless private meetings to discuss not only the present, but also the future. An insider revealed that Francis saw in Tagle not just a cardinal, but a continuation of his dream over time. Tagle was entrusted with sensitive missions, global outreach, and reforms that perfectly aligned with Francis's ideals. Those who followed closely noticed that Tagle wasn't just another church leader. He was being prepared. For what now, with the discovery of these hidden documents, the picture becomes clearer. Tagle is not just a trusted advisor. He may be the one chosen to carry out a silent revolution. However, Tagle never spoke of ambition. He never hinted at higher aspirations, which made him even more appealing in Pope Francis's eyes. A leader not seeking power, but called to serve. But could this secret council be part of a larger, carefully orchestrated plan? As the world starts connecting the dots, another question arises. Did Pope Francis know his time was limited? Did he design a succession strategy that would outlast him? Let's explore the connection between the Pope and this protege, which could reveal a decision that has been made for many years: the hidden succession plan. Popes are not allowed to choose their successors. It's an old rule as old as the Church itself. But if anyone could subtly influence the future without breaking tradition, it would be Pope Francis. For years, Francis had hinted at retirement, openly discussed his health challenges, and made subtle moves that now seem much more cautious. He wasn't just preparing to step down, he was preparing the Church for what comes next. Behind the scenes, many believe he was crafting an invisible succession plan, not through official statements but through trusted counsel and positioning key figures like Luis Antonio Tagle exactly where they needed to be. As a Vatican analyst put it, Francis didn't leave the future to chance. He planted the seeds, and Tagle is the strongest. The sudden sealing of Pope Francis's residence now carries a different meaning. Was it really to preserve his personal belongings, or was it to protect sensitive plans that could reveal how carefully Francis had shaped the path ahead? If these hidden documents confirm that Tagle is at the center of this strategy, it could explain everything: the private meetings, Tagle's rapid rise within the Vatican ranks, and the urgency in securing Francis's residence after his death. However, such a plan couldn't unfold without risk. The power factions within the Church would do anything to maintain control, and a successor like Tagle, known for his progressive values, would threaten the conservative forces. Could this be the reason why the Vatican acted swiftly to manage how and when these revelations come to light? The world is currently watching and waiting to see whether Pope Francis's quiet strategy will be enough to ensure his vision endures, or whether internal resistance will bury his plan along with him. One thing is clear: if Tagle is truly the successor Pope Francis has chosen, his mission is much larger than anyone could imagine. But what exactly is that mission? And is it a reform revolution or a dangerous risk? Let's explore. Is Tagle truly tasked with completing a reform revolution or taking a risky gamble? If the whispers from behind the Vatican walls are true, if Luis Antonio Tagle is indeed at the heart of Pope Francis's secret plan, then he is stepping into not just a new chapter of leadership, but a high-wire act between history and the future, with no safety net below. Tagle's reputation has always been one of quiet strength and deep compassion. From the early days in the Philippines, he was known as the cardinal who listened when others preached. He walked among the poor, stood with refugees, and spoke up for them, those whom the world and, at times, even the church forgot. In many ways, Tagle is the human face of what Pope Francis has long fought for. A church that opens its doors wider, chooses mercy over judgment, and dares to care more about what it commands. If you find this story interesting and want to learn more, don't forget to like, share the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more exciting videos. Now, let's continue the story together. But now, the stakes are higher than ever, with reports of hidden documents found in the sealed residence files of Pope Francis, said to outline a bold vision for reform. Tagle faces a challenge far greater than charity work or pastoral care. This is no longer just about kindness. It is about confronting centuries of tradition, unwritten rules, and powerful figures who believe the church should remain exactly as it is. As a keen Vatican observer noted, Tagle is not being asked to lead. He is being asked to complete what Francis started. And that is a dangerous road, because every step toward reform comes at a price. If Tagle pushes for greater inclusion, whether for women, minority communities, or interfaith dialogue, he risks facing fierce backlash from those who see such steps as betrayal, not progress. For every person who praises his vision, there will be another ready to accuse him of weakening the foundations of the church. And let's not forget that the Vatican is a place where power is not always loud, but silent, calculated, and deeply entrenched. Tagle will enter a battleground where smiles hide resistance, and tradition is wielded as a weapon. So, what exactly is this mission? Is it simply reform, a gentle evolution of the church's role in modern society, or is it something much bolder? A silent revolution hidden behind the language of compassion, but destined to topple structures that have existed for over 2 millennia. In some ways, it is a risk few would dare to take. But for Tagle, backed by the trust of Pope Francis and perhaps bound by his ultimate wish, stepping back may no longer be an option. This is no longer a matter of personal choice. It is a matter of responsibility. Responsibility could shape the future of the Catholic Church, but don't be mistaken. Not everyone supports Tagle or is ready to back his vision. In fact, while the world watches with hope, the forces within the Vatican have been preparing to defend themselves, because where there is talk of revolution, there is always resistance. Let's lift the veil and examine the quiet opposition that is growing within the heart of Rome, a force determined to stop Tagle before he begins. The silent resistance of the Vatican. With every voice calling for progress, there is always a quieter, more calculated voice whispering, "Don't rush." Inside the ancient walls of the Vatican, whispers are not just opinions, but power games, and often those whispers resonate louder than the applause of the public. During his papacy, Pope Francis led not only with prayer, but also with combat. But these were not public battles. They were quiet ones, fought in private meetings behind closed doors and in corridors that have stood for centuries, where tradition weighs heavier than vision. His efforts for a more inclusive, compassionate church have been praised by millions worldwide, but within the conservative factions of the Vatican, they view every reform as not just a threat to doctrine, but to the very structures of control they have maintained for generations. When Pope Francis departs, these factions see an opportunity, not to mourn, but to reclaim what they believe is slipping away, and they stand squarely in Tagle's path. For many, Luis Antonio Tagle represents a beacon of hope. But for those clinging to the old ways, he symbolizes something far more dangerous, the living embodiment of Francis's unfinished revolution. As an insider in the Vatican, rumors warn that Tagle's era could break centuries of control, not out of a fear of change, but a fear of losing power. This could explain why the Vatican acted so swiftly to seal Pope Francis's residence. Is it truly to protect his legacy, or a strategic move to curb the boldest parts of his vision? The plans, if revealed, could push the Church into a future that some are desperately trying to avoid. There is a quiet war taking place that most Catholics worldwide will never witness. It is not fought with public statements, but with silence, delay, and behind-the-scenes manipulation. It's a war between those who believe the Church must evolve to survive, and those who believe its survival depends on keeping everything exactly as it has always been. And whether he wants it or not, Tagle now stands at the center of this conflict. Every decision he makes, every word he says or does not say, will be scrutinized by those waiting for the opportunity to weaken him. Silent resistance is often the most dangerous kind because you don't see it coming until it's too late. The real question now is, can Tagle break through this invisible wall of opposition? Or will these hidden forces succeed in blocking the boldest parts of Pope Francis's plans, ensuring they are never made public? But this is not just a political matter for the Vatican. The consequences of this internal struggle will ripple far beyond the borders of Rome. The future of over 1 billion Catholics and the Church's role in global issues like human rights, poverty, and climate action may depend on who wins this silent war. So, what will happen if Tagle moves forward despite the opposition? Could the secrets sealed within Pope Francis's residence spark a transformation that echoes across the world? Let's explore how these hidden truths might ignite a new era for the Catholic Church, and why the world should pay close attention. A new era for the Catholic Church. If Luis Antonio Tagle takes on the role many believe Pope Francis has quietly prepared him for, the impact will be felt not just within the walls of the Vatican, but across the globe. A Tagle-led church could mark a historic shift, from a church centered in Europe to a truly global faith community, an organization directly engaging with the growing populations in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, an institution addressing real-world issues like climate change, migration, poverty, and social justice, not just spiritual doctrine, as one commentator noted. This is not just about religion, but also about redefining the Church's position in modern society. Under Tagle's leadership, we could see a church that embraces interfaith dialogue, supports human rights, and ultimately faces long-avoided questions about inclusivity and equality. However, such a transformation will not only inspire hope, but also spark considerable controversy. Political leaders and traditionalists from various countries may oppose a church that dares to engage in global issues beyond the pulpit. Could this be the final plan that Pope Francis has quietly prepared, handing the torch to someone who will break down old barriers and make the church fit for a modern, diverse world? If so, what is hidden in that sealed house is not just a collection of papers, but a blueprint for global change. Now, as the truth gradually unfolds, one final question remains. What will the future hold, and is Tagle ready to face it? The residence has been sealed, and the secrets are currently buried. However, the impact of what is found within Pope Francis's residence could shake the very foundation of the Church. The world is watching in silence, waiting to see if Luis Antonio Tagle will step up and fulfill the role implied in those hidden documents. Will he honor Pope Francis's vision, or will he bear the weight of tradition and internal resistance that will prevent him from taking that leap? Tagle has yet to speak publicly about these revelations, but sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The Catholic Church now stands at a crossroads. One path leads back to the comfort of old ways, while the other leads to transformation, a future where faith meets the realities of the modern world. As one Vatican scholar noted, this is not just about a leader, but about the soul of the Church. So, what happens next? Will Tagle become the leader that Pope Francis secretly prepared for him? Or will the hidden forces keep those plans forever? One thing is certain. What is found in Pope Francis's residence will change everything, and this story is far from over. Stay tuned, as history is being written as we speak. If the story about Pope Francis touched you or changed your perspective, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends and those around you. Leave your comment below to let us know, and subscribe to the channel for more meaningful stories. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.